guys, welcome to another video. So I saw that Destiny recently uploaded a end of year book tag and I thought, why not do the same? I really liked her questions. I feel like it was a good wrap up of like a year in reading, and I saw Regina George wearing army pants and flip-flops, so I bought army pants and flip-flops. Yeah, I just thought that this was a really cool way of wrapping up a year of reading. I have the questions on my phone. The first question was a series that I wish I had gotten to this year. I feel like there are so many series out there that I want to read and I want to try. But an actual series that I thought I was going to get round to reading this year and probably won't is the Kingdom of the Wicked series by Kerry Maniscalco. There's a few girls in the book club that really enjoyed that series, and I feel like it's right up my street, but I just never got round to it this year. But hopefully next year. I feel like January, February, I'm gonna knock out some like good fantasy series. Another series, actually, I've just thought of it, that I thought I would have got to this year but never did, is actually the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J Maas. I have Assassin's Blade and Throne of Glass physically on my TBR. Never got round to it this year, but we are all doing like a big buddy read of it in January, and it'll probably bleed over to February as well, so I'm excited for that. So there are two series that I thought I was going to get to this year but never did. The next question was, what was my biggest letdown of the year? Now, I feel like with this one, I'm not necessarily saying that the book is bad. It was more so, I think, I hyped it up so much in my head and I expected the world from it, and then actually when I read it, it didn't deliver what I had hyped up in my head for it to deliver. So in no way is it like, hey, it just wasn't for me. So the book that was the letdown for me this year was Reckless by Lauren Roberts. I think it's just a simple thing of that it fell victim to being the middle book in a trilogy. I feel like it's quite a... I feel like with trilogies, so many times the second book just gets hit with like the second book curse, where it literally, all it becomes is a bridge from one book to the other, and that for me doesn't always make an enjoyable reading experience. So yeah, don't get me wrong, I am so excited for Fearless and I love the series as a whole. I think sometimes you can be your own worst enemy in like hyping up a book, and when you love something so much you just expect the world from it, and obviously the world isn't perfect, so that's what happened with that book. A book that had been on my TBR the longest, technically I was trying to look at my physical... I was trying to look at the books that I've read this year that have physically been on my TBR for a long time, but I'm not someone that will buy a book and have it sitting on my physical TBR for too long a period, because if it sits there for so long without being picked up, I will just get rid of it. Because in my head I think to myself, if you wanted to read it you would have read it by now. But a book that I had on my TBR list for a very, very long time was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. That one was like back in the day when I was first heavily into like booktube. I feel like a lot of people were talking about The Night Circus. Finally read it this year. I am so glad that I did. I loved it. It was magical. So if you didn't know, it basically follows this like magical circus that will just appear throughout the world, and you can only go to it at night, hence the name The Night Circus. So that's like one side of the story, and it's like the mystery of where did this circus come from, where, like, is it really magic, like what is going on with the circus. And then on the other half you have two people that are being raised by illusionists to one day compete in a competition to see basically who is the better teacher, and how that all intertwines with the Night Circus. It is a standalone, full of like magic, there is a romance subplot. Like, I felt very immersed in that story. Okay, the next question is my favourite reread of the year, and actually for the first time ever, because I am very much like a comfort like girly. I love rewatching TV shows, I love rewatching movies, I listen to the same like 6 albums on repeat, and normally that carries on into books as well. But I actually think for the first time this is the first year in a while that I've actually put time, money and effort into my reading hobby. Like, I've always loved reading, but I would be the kind of person where I could go months without picking up a book. This is the first year where I've really said to myself, no, like, you enjoy this, invest time in this hobby. Like, so this is the first year that I've actually like stuck to trying to hit my reading goal, and really stuck to try and branch out and read different books. So I actually think this is the first year in a long time that I haven't reread a lot of books, but a book series I did reread this year was The Hunger Games. I feel like I'll go like a couple of years without reading it, and then I'll be like, I want to reread that. So yes, reread Hunger Games, and I just genuinely, hand on heart, believe that story will always hold up. Like, I love that story. I love the books, I love the films, I love the world. Hunger Games reread, love it. Will always be a 5-star read for me. Like, I do not take any criticism for that story whatsoever. The next question is a new favourite author from this year, and I actually have 3 because I couldn't pick. So all 3 of these are authors that I read for the first time this year and literally fall in love. So they're not, obviously I have like my favourite authors, but I didn't want to include authors that I loved before this year, because obviously this is an end of year wrap up. So my authors from this year are, so we have Emily Henry. This year I read Beach Read, Happy Place and Funny Story, and I ate all of them up. Like, I love the layers to her stories. Like, it's not just boy meets girl and they fall in love. Like, there's so much emotional depth. I feel like they feel very much like ensemble casts, you know, like very much like Friends, New Girl, you know, like all of those casts where all of the characters are strong. So I really love that. I love all of like the little subplots that feed into the main story, and I just really get on with her writing style. So Emily Henry is definitely up there for me. Need to read the rest of everything that she's ever released in 2025, especially now that a lot of them have been picked up for movies and TV shows. I'm very excited. Next one is Carissa Broadbent. So this year I read Serpent and the Windsor Knight and Ashes of the Star-Cursed King, maybe? I'm really bad at long fantasy title names, but I ate that duology up. Like, actually obsessed with that duology, still think about it to this day. I love the world, I love the characters. Like, I just think she has such a distinctive voice in her books. I mean, I soft DNF'd The Songbird and the Heart of Stone only because I wasn't in the right headspace for it, but even as I was reading it, it felt like going back home, and I very much enjoyed being in her world again and being sort of, you know, like you feel like hugged. Finally, another favourite author from this year, and one that I feel like will be my favourite author for a very, very long time to come, is Amavina Cole. So she is the author of the Gods and Monsters series, of Asriel, The Throne of the Broken Gods, and The Dawn of the Cursed Queen. when I tell you this book series has actually altered my brain chemistry in the same way like Akatar altered my brain chemistry, like I'm not exaggerating. The writing style in this is honestly just out of this world incredible. Like some of the best fantasy writing I have ever read. I think about it all of the time. Like there is actually like a quarter of my brain now that is literally just wondering about those characters and what they're doing, as if they're like out there in the world living right now. Yeah. An author that didn't work out for me this year, I do normally try and give people at least 2 goes before I decide that they're not for me, because people can change. I think as well, in a lot of books, it's not always the writing style, it can be the tropes that they're using in that book, could be the characters that you're not gelling with, so many things. So normally 2 books. That being said, I read Say You Swear by Megan Brandy this year, and then the second book in the series came out, and by the time the second one came out, I just knew that it wasn't for me. I won't be picking it up. I mean, I have kind of looked at Say You Swear on my shelves and just thought, when I need more space, is that going to be one I keep, or is that going to be one that I unhaul? I'm still undecided. When I read it, I enjoyed parts of it, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I just don't think that it was for me. I feel like I read it and finished it just to be like, where the hell is this going? So yeah, I don't think I'll be picking up any more Megan Brandy books. Another question that I could include for myself was favourite book club book of the year. So obviously me and the besties run Unstable Book Besties. So every month we have 1 if not 2 books. There were some good book picks this year. One that actually really did surprise me that I loved so much was From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata, which actually is another author that I'm surprised I didn't pick up another book of hers this year, because I love that. I love slow burn. I cannot deal with instant love. For me, the slowest the burn can be, the better. Obviously there has to be tension, but the slowest that it can be. Another book club book that I loved was what led me to find one of my favourite authors this year, and that was The Book of Azrael by Amavina Cole. The moment I picked that book up, I was hooked. Like, I was talking about this with Tia the other week. Normally when I read fantasy books, if I love it, straight away the main male character becomes my book boyfriend. In this story, I love the main male character and I love the female main character, and I actually genuinely I can't see him as a book boyfriend, because I just genuinely love those two so much, and they're like my parents. I don't want to get involved. I'm not breaking that up. Like, I want them two to stay together for as long as possible. I want them to have the happiest ever after ever. Like, if I was like dropped into that world, I would just want to like be like the annoying, well, I say little kid, I am an adult, but I just want to be that annoying person that just follows them around and is like, hi guys. Love them. I love the world. The world is so easy to understand. All of the characters, like even the ones that you shouldn't root for, like there are just so many characters in there, like with depth, and the storyline is never boring. You have so many point of views and all of them are interesting. Like, I'm sure I said this in a wrap up, but normally in some books when there are too many point of views, you at least get one or two that you read and you think, I just want to get back to the main characters. But with this, no, like I care about each and every character, and even the ones I don't care about, I'm still interested to see like what their motivations are, what they're up to, how they are furthering the story, like it. And some of the quotes in this book, like, tattoo them on my body, tattoo them on my soul. Like, if you have not read this series, please take this as your sign. You have until the 5th of August next year to read the first 3 books, so not a big rush. but make sure that they're on your radar for 2025, because honestly, I don't know where I would be without these books. They have changed my heart, my body, my mind, my soul, like, just incredible. Okay, and then the next question is this year's or favourite book boyfriends that I've discovered this year. Honestly, so many. I don't think I could pick favourites. I mean, this year I discovered Kai from the Powerless series. I discovered Zayden from Fourth Wing. I discovered Sammy from Book of Asriel. I discovered all of the Windy City men, all of them. I discovered all of the off-campus men, most of them. Ford from Wild Love, Wes from Wild Eyes, and then you've got Wes and Gus from the Rebel Blue Ranch series, Rain from Serpent and the Wings of Night. I mean, look at them two. Ignore Taylor. Yeah, I don't think I can pick a favourite. A book boyfriend that actually surprised me this year was Gus from the third Blue Rebel Ranch series book. And really, actually, to wrap up the end of year tag, that whole series has actually ended up taking me by surprise. I read Done and Dusted as a book club book this year, and I did enjoy it, but I think it was in like the 3-star range because it didn't hit me. And then I was like, I'm not in a massive rush to jump back into that world. And then in November I wanted to listen to some audiobooks because I had some credits and I needed something easy, something quick, so I thought, why not give it another go. I think was reading it at the time, and also I watched Rachel Catherine's vlog where she said that they were just getting better as she went along. And that was true for me. Like I really liked the second one, and then I loved the third one. So Gus was definitely a surprise for me. I really enjoyed his character. I did say this in a vlog, so I don't want to say it too much again at the risk of completely repeating myself every 5 minutes. But what I really loved about the third book was, and I said this, there is an author's note at the end that sort of explains it, but I feel like emotionally Lila Sage found her footing in this one. Like you could tell that she had personal experience with it, a little bit like Daydream by Hannah Grace. Like it just felt that little bit more real, as if they had like found that little like portion of their heart and they just like bled that out onto the page. And I really love that in a book. Like I love when you can tell that they are affected by what they're writing about and that they believe it in their heart. So yeah, that was a book boyfriend that surprised me, and also a series that surprised me this year. That is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Let me know what your favourite read of this year has been and your most anticipated read for next year. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye.